Welcome to our nation's capital. You're in the war room. It is Christmas Eve, the 24th of December, the year of our Lord 2020. I want to thank our partners in Denver, Real America's Voice, for actually putting the show on today, live. As you know, most people have taken off already for the Christmas holiday, but there's so much breaking news, and we also have a Christmas Eve special that we're going to interweave with veterans, and we have Rabbi Spiro on. We have just an incredible show, but also with breaking news all day today. So John Frederick's Radio Network, Real America's Voice, the team out in Denver, the streaming platform for the Trump Revolution, Dish Channel 219, Comcast Channel 113, the number one podcast in America, political podcast in America. And I think we're number 4 or 5 as far as news shows go, too. So with over 25 million downloads, and throughout the world, I want to thank everybody internationally that is watching us on G News, GTV, and every other device, Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, Roku, Pluto, all of it. Okay, we're going to get to it right now. I think, do we have Peter Navarro? We're going to start. No cold opens today. We've got so much news. We've got Peter Navarro and Rudy Giuliani to get us updated and make sure that when you're sitting around the Christmas table, you can you have your ammunition in which to fire back on relatives or friends that are not quite up to speed with what's going on. Peter, I want before I get into the bills, into the vetoes, and exactly what's going on, I do want to ask you about your amazing report, the Immaculate Deception, and any headlines, anything you can tell us about other things you're working on. My sources tell me that there's a deep analysis you guys are working on that are going to come out next week that's even going to be more thorough than what you've already presented, which has blown people away and kind of driven a lot of these state legislatures to start to have hearings.
Yeah, Steve, so the whole premise of the Immaculate Deception report, after I sifted through thousands of documents, is that the Democrat Party had a coordinated strategy to stuff the ballot box with mail-in and absentee ballots and do it in a way that bent the rules and sometimes broke them. So what I'm doing with a follow-on report is I want to flesh out exactly how that coordinated strategy happened across the 6 battleground states of Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. And what I found so far is that this is indeed a coordinated strategy across all of these 6 battleground states. Going back even pre-pandemic, there were all sorts of gambits to basically relax the rules, not just on the absentee ballot and mail-in ballot process itself, but also in the way to check whether those voters that were going to vote that way were actually real. So it's breathtaking in the sense that this is coordinated. It goes back a number of years, and I think it probably started 1201 on election night in 2016 when Donald J. Trump won that election. So this, I think, it'll be a blockbuster when it comes out, because you're going to see just how insidious this whole thing is. And Steve, look, Jimmy Carter, I never thought I'd say these words. Jimmy Carter had it right when he said that absentee ballots are like an open invitation to fraud. And everything I've done with that Immaculate Deception report reveals with great granularity just how toxic at the core the absentee ballot process was across these 6 battleground states. See, don't forget, the narrow victory margins of the alleged Joe Biden victory pale in comparison to the number of potential illegal votes in all 6 of those battleground states. And Georgia, in my mind, right now is one of the biggest cesspools, and we really have to pay attention to, because they're going to have an election that's already polluted. That thing needs to move to February.
Okay.
We cannot have that election.
I hear that. But Catholics for Truth, a great site, has just come up with a story we're going to put up and try to get it up through Denver in the next couple of episodes. Weak Republican leaders are threatening the integrity of our elections. And here's the power of their piece. They put the pictures, the names, and their official offices, their emails, everything. We had such a good run yesterday in Pennsylvania. They've now done this. We're going to put this up so everybody can know who they can contact over the holiday period. But they said, Republican leaders, Peter, I've seen your analysis. It blows me away. I've seen what the addendum you put in Michigan, where you get down to the receipts. I mean, you get down to the hardcore of voter fraud and the election fraud, no chain of custody, but you get into the illegal aliens, people are too young, from post office boxes, the details, and match it back to the voter rolls. Correct me if I'm wrong. In Georgia yesterday, they had a House meeting, I think for 3 or 4 hours. I just didn't see getting into the granularity, and the Secretary of State brings his lawyer to it and kind of deflects all the questions. So for all your hard work, how are you going to get a venue to actually get this presented somewhere where it goes into the official record, and people then have to, and then CNN can't say it's there's no evidence, and CNN can't say this is mass deception, and CNN can't say this is all baseless. How do you do that?
Well, first of all, they can't say that now. There's thousands of documents, and it's just a matter of record that much of what was done was found to be illegal, whether it's the consent decree in Georgia or the indefinitely confined voters in Wisconsin or the curing ballots in Pennsylvania. I mean, it's the Goebbels thing. If they want to keep saying there's no evidence, I guess everybody's going to believe it, but, a Republican's sake. But let me riff a little bit on what you said about the Catholic insight that it's these Republicans who are doing us in. I had a chilling conversation yesterday with one of the top staff members to the Michigan Republican side of the legislature. And it was chilling in the sense that one of the lessons here in the swamp for your listeners here is that it's staffers who tend to control Capitol Hill, right? They're the ones who've been around. The members come and go, right? Or they're too busy kind of like raising money or preening for the camera, right? And so this guy I was talking to, it's like he didn't want to take the receipts. We'd give him the receipts. I walked through like the dead voters. I walked through the 174,000 voters without adequate voter ID check. The incredible, inexplicable surges of votes in the dead of night, and he just didn't want to hear it. It's like, and then in the voting machine irregularity. My point, Steve. My point is that the only way we're going to move this ball right now is to put more and more public pressure, and that's where the smartest audience in the world comes in. Your show puts some more pressure on these people in these battleground states, and it's the Republicans, ironically, that we have to put the pressure on.
Exactly.
Ducey in Arizona,
don't need to call
criminal.
Don't need to call it the
Kemp in Georgia, Raffensperger, criminal.
Yep. You don't need to call the militia out. You don't need to call the. You don't need to impose the Insurrection Act. You don't need to. By the way, that's another reason we can't.
That was, Steve, that drives me nuts. That was just so much more BS from the media. It's like they spin this stuff as a way of deflection. The anti-Trump mainstream media, all they want to do is deflect. They won't look at the evidence. This is dangerous. I keep coming back to the point, Steve. If the people of America do not have faith in our elections, we don't have a country.
Look,
this attitude in the media.
It's not just about elections, though. It's not just about elections. This is about the here and now. We had an election. Here's the reality. The Washington Post, that column the other day, is actually saying they understand 50%, basically half the country, does not think that Biden is legitimate or he's illegal. And that's because they've seen the evidence. They go to shows like this. They're drilling down now into the evidence cells. We're putting it up all the time. That's only going to increase over time. There's only going to be more and more and more evidence comes out, like the Dominion thing. I don't know what the story is there, but I know they're going to get investigators on it. And over the next 6 months to a year, a lot of information is going to come out, additional information, as is all of this. It's only going to. This is why this is a wound that will not heal. That will not heal. And Biden and the Democrats have done nothing to reach out here on the egregious stealing of this. And I understand YouTube. Yes, the safe harbor was on the 8th. The Electoral College was on the 24th. Yesterday was another thing on the 23rd for the vice president. by the Elections Act, I think of 1888 or whatever. I understand that's all flowing through here. That's the official thing, just like the Warren Commission, just like the Pentagon Papers. Okay, I want to, Peter, we're pressed for time today, and we got Rudy Giuliani coming up. I want to go to the COVID bill, the defense bill. The president's vetoed one. Is he going to veto? And is your recommendation as assistant to the president for trade and manufacturing, one of his top economic advisors, are you recommending to him that he veto this COVID bill until he gets more cash to the people and no cash to the swamp?
Steve, I'm an assistant to the president. Everything that I recommend to the president takes place behind closed doors in the Oval and does not leak. So I'm going to artfully dodge that question. But the issue here with this relief bill, my view is, the president has said $2,000 for every family, not a single penny for the swamp, and that's the tenable, correct position. And I would remind everybody out there that prior to the election, we had an excellent bill that would have actually helped small businesses, people who were facing evictions and foreclosures, and people who were unemployed, and on top of that, bring back our jobs so that we can make the kind of pharmaceuticals and masks and things we need to protect ourselves. And Nancy Pelosi sat on that for 2 months because she didn't want to give Donald J. Trump a victory before the election day. That's where we stand. So what have we got now? We have a 5,000-page swamp creature, handout to everybody but the people who need it. So we'll see what happens. And on the defense bill, it's like I got a bone to pick with this, Steve. I mean, I go to my Twitter account, Real P Navarro. You will see. I retweeted a tweet from the official press of the Chinese Communist Party calling me and a few others war criminals. Okay, now think about that. The Communist Chinese Party on Twitter is calling me, an assistant to the president, a war criminal. Now, I'll wear that like a badge of honor if the CCP thinks that. But let me ask Twitter. I mean, what are you doing? You're like deplatforming Bannon's war room, and you're letting the CCP call high-ranking government officials.
Hold it, just hang on. Let me hang on. Let me frame this for you. This was I think he was the publisher and editor of the Global Times, the tabloid, their New York Post, but the official party line paper. Yeah. And it called Pompeo, Navarro, anybody that had been part of this new Cold War or this confrontation with China. And by the way, we don't say it's a Cold War. We say it's a hot war economically, cyber, information warfare, and unrestricted warfare in 2 of the 3 categories. It's a hot war that's driven by them, and they're calling Pompeo and Navarro specifically war criminals. And Twitter puts it up, but the president of the United States puts out a tweet, and he gets flagged or he gets taken down. How does that work, Navarro?
Yeah. There's no. I'm looking at that. Go to my account. They're deplorables. It's Real P Navarro, right? Look at this thing. New Cold War, right? Navarro will undoubtedly be on the list of war criminals with Pompeo, and there's no disclaimer by Twitter. They let this on up there. There's no disclaimer in dispute. None of that.
Peter, hang on for 1 second. We're gonna hold you over the break. I got one question to ask, and Rudy Giuliani is going to come on. So just hold over the break. Sure. We're going to get up all your public information, your Twitter, all that. We're going to take a short commercial break. This is War Room Pandemic, a jam show today. Our Christmas Eve special. Rudy Giuliani, America's mayor, will join us. One more question for Peter Navarro on the other side of the break. We'll be back in a second.
With Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
It's Christmas Eve. We want to welcome you here at Christmas Eve special on War Room Pandemic. Tomorrow we have the combat history of Christmas, about what went on during 1776 and the darkest Christmas we've ever had. Also the Battle of the Bulge, Chosin Reservoir, much more. Patrick K. O'Donnell, the young, great combat historian, will be joining Jack Maxey and myself. It's one you don't want to miss, about the sacrifice of America's fighting men and women throughout our country's history on Christmas Day. Also on Saturday, it'll be the Boxing Day special we do every year with Raheem Kassam. Now I want to turn to Peter. So basically, we want to hold you over to wish you a Merry Christmas. You're a great American. You're a real warrior. You've been here at the beginning. You're pure MAGA. Our audience absolutely loves you. Can you give us your Twitter handle now that the Chinese Communist Party is calling you a war criminal and teeing up and getting your seat ready for their Nuremberg? Yeah. By the way, the Chinese Communist Party, and particularly the guy in Global Times, understand this because this is translated in Mandarin. We're going to have a trial one day when Lao Beijing, the Chinese people, the Chinese deplorables, when they finally overthrow you guys with the assistance of your allies in the West, and that is the deplorables. That's the purpose of this show. When they finally overthrow the CCP, the trial is going to be in Wuhan. And we're going to bring you and all your cohorts, and the world is going to sit in judgment, and the jury is going to be the citizens of China. And they're going to sit in for humanity and judge you. And I don't think you're going to dig the outcome because we're going to get the receipts. We're going to get the receipts in China. So, you talk a lot of smack about Peter Navarro, but the reality is, I think, going to set in that you're going to be on the losing side of this. History's on our side. History's on the side of the righteous. Peter, what's your Twitter handle? How do people get to you?
Real P. Navarro. Real P. Navarro. And look, Merry Christmas to everybody out there. Enjoy the next 24 hours, but we got a fight on our hands, and we got to keep battling for this president, for this country, for our democracy, and we can't let up until we turn this around. So great job on the War Room, number one podcast, fastest. I think I was the first one to say it was the fastest in history. That's got that right.
That's because you're a Harvard PhD.
Wow.
Okay.
Amazing.
One thing I want to reiterate what Peter's saying. We're not taking any vacation. Hey, this thing's a fight. Every day of the week it's going to be a fight. All next week it's going to be a fight. This thing's a fight. Navarro's staying in Washington over the break. He's working nonstop. So, Peter, thank you very much for joining us. Merry Christmas.
Take care.
Now I want to bring in America's mayor, a true patriot and hero, Mayor Rudy Giuliani, the president's, not just the president's lawyer, but also the chief strategist of all of this, trying to save this republic, trying to save the Constitution, and trying to make sure that this election is viewed as least as honest and as fair. We only want to count legal votes. So, Mayor, on Christmas Eve, with a couple of weeks to go before January 6th, where do we stand in all this? Where can you tell the people? Because there's going to be huge arguments tomorrow over, even if it's on Zoom, right, as Tony Fauci's trying to crush Christmas. But for those people to get together with their family and their friends, or those that just do it by Zoom, there's clearly going to be a lot of arguments. So where do we stand, or a lot of differences of opinion, let me say it that way. Where do we stand in all this?
Well, I think we stand pretty strong, actually, because we have in 5 states enormous amount of evidence, easily enough to show that Biden didn't win, and just as easily enough to show that Trump did win. We can analyze that about 4 or 5 different ways, including looking at the ballots that were cast, the ones that weren't inspected. An example, Arizona. Arizona's vote right now, as it stands, as sent to the United States of America, the Congress, shows absolutely no illegal immigrant, absolutely no person who's a non-citizen voting. Well, of course, that's totally untrue. There isn't a person in Arizona, there isn't a person in America, there's a person in Congress that doesn't know that that number is untrue. The real question is, how many illegals voted? Because every one of those illegal votes has to be taken out. The bare minimum is 40 or 50,000. The reality is about 250,000. Now, if you took that out of the counties in which they voted, Trump would win Arizona by about 50,000 votes. That's just plain hard fact. It is not some made-up fraud. It's not some right-wing conspiracy. In Pennsylvania, there are 600,000 more mail-in ballots that came in than were sent out. What does that mean? They weren't printed before the election. They were printed after the election, because in Philadelphia and in Pennsylvania, he was 700,000 to 800,000 votes ahead. They hadn't printed up enough ballots, so they had to go into superdrive. I mean, I can go on and on. In Wisconsin, there are all these people who falsely claim to be unable to get out of their homes. We're up into the 40 or 50,000s already and growing. Now, it's a false statement. The law of Wisconsin says their vote has to be discounted. So I know that so many Americans don't know this, and they almost in a way think we're crazy when we say this. And the worst frustration, Steve, is it's based on hard evidence, on facts.
Well,
and
Mayor,
the tragedy,
yeah.
This is why it's true. They stole the election.
Mayor, here's the thing, is that 50%, even the Washington Post is reporting that they say, hey, one of the problems for the first time in American history, Biden will start his presidency with people thinking he'll be illegitimate and illegal. Now, that's the Washington Post. Remember, in the war room, we know he's not going to start his presidency. This is all phony. But the Washington Post is even reporting what McLaughlin and the numbers show, that somewhere between 46 and 48% of the American people right now don't think it's a policy difference. They think he's illegal or illegitimate, okay? And this includes a substantial number of Democrats. And, of course, now I think you've got almost all the Trump movement and probably two-thirds of 75% of Republicans. So my question is, we know you have the receipts. Although the tech oligarchs have suppressed it, the media suppressed it, the word's getting out there. How do you, as the president's lawyer and the chief strategist, how do you get a venue that you can actually present it in an official thing? The one in Georgia yesterday was not as strong. We had 200,000 people live on watching it on streaming services from everything from Epic Times to Real America's Voice to Right Side Media. 200,000 watching for hours a House committee meeting of the Government Affairs Committee, Oversight Committee in Georgia. So they didn't exactly grab onto the overwhelming evidence in Georgia. So what is your plan? How do we get a venue? How do you get a venue so this can be properly adjudicated?
We keep driving it. It went pretty well in the sense that we were able to get our information out, which for us is a plus because of the censorship that's going on. But there's also the issue that we got to keep pushing, and we got to keep giving them more evidence, and we got to get them to the point of shame. The Democrats are sticking together in thievery and in stealing. And all I'm asking Republicans to do is to stick together to do the right thing. I'm not asking them to make believe the evidence doesn't say what it says. I can give them a videotape showing them on tape how Georgia was stolen, 40,000 votes. They don't have to rely on guesses or political propaganda or political spin. So we have to reinstall courage among our Republicans. It's growing. We didn't have anybody 3 weeks ago. We now have half to three-quarters of the legislatures. So we're getting there. And, it may take one or two more big revelations this week. And we're working right through Christmas. It's like I got a picture of Washington crossing the Delaware for my staff. And I said, if he could work on Christmas, we can work on Christmas. He saved the country once. We got to save it again.
Mayor, I know you're down. You're close to the president. Walk us through as you work through this weekend. I understand we're burning daylight and we got limited time next week. Do you anticipate, as we sit here today, that we will actually, because our thesis here, the theory of the case, one falls, they all fall. Do you believe that you're going to get a special session? And would that come in Georgia, Arizona, Wisconsin? Where as you sit right now, Rudy Giuliani,
top two. Those are the top two. You can always be surprised. It's the strangest thing. We had one particular guy that was very opposed to us. Not that he didn't think it happened. He thought it would be too jarring. And the minute he looked at the Dominion report, he switched completely. And he brought with him about 10 or 12 legislators in Michigan. So it's different things that appeal to different people. Some of the people are very tied into the technical part of it, the mathematical analysis that Peter Navarro's staff did so brilliantly. Yesterday, there was a meeting with Pennsylvania legislators. It swayed about 20 of them. I mean, they're mathematical types. They got into it. Actually, in Pennsylvania, you can demonstrate he didn't win. You can actually demonstrate it mathematically.
That Biden didn't. That Biden didn't win.
Biden lost by probably 300,000 to 400,000. He only when you and I were involved in the campaign, we could only get him about 30,000 in Pennsylvania. He did a lot better than you and me.
42, but who's counting?
I got cheated at it.
Right.
But he's if you think he's resting, I talked to him at 11 o'clock last night. I talked to him at 7 this morning, and I talked to him at 8 this morning. I told him, stop. You gave me so much work to do. I got to do research all day, so go play golf. He said, I'll help you with the research. Okay, come on. No.
Mayor, hang on for 1 second. Could you just stay over through the break? I got one more question and something to say about the holidays. Mayor Rudy Giuliani, we're going to take a short commercial break. When we return, we're going to go back to America's mayor, the top prosecutor, the Elliot Ness of his generation. We're going to be back with Rudy Giuliani in just a moment.
War Room with Stephen K. Bannon. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Welcome back to War Room Pandemic. This is our Christmas Eve special. Just a programming note. Mayor Giuliani talked about making his team work through the Christmas holidays. And he said, hey, if General Washington could do it in 1776, we can do it today to fight for freedom. We're going to have Christopher Flannery on here later in this hour talking about victory or death, the great note that Washington wrote on that day. We're also going to have tomorrow the combat history of Christmas with Patrick K. O'Donnell. We're going to spend 2 hours going through the combat history of Americans from Bastogne to Trenton, crossing the Delaware in the middle of the night on Christmas night. We're also going to be at Chosin Reservoir. Okay, I want to now go back. Mayor Giuliani, I just want to say to you, Merry Christmas. And I think here's what the American people
Merry
understand.
Christmas to you, Steve.
Mayor, you've had the CCP virus, you had COVID, you were sick as all get out. You know, you're on the other side of 70 right now. But I got to tell you, I've never met in my life a bigger patriot. You and Donald Trump, patriots that could be doing so much different stuff. You could be playing golf. President Trump could be buying more courses for the British Open, the Open Championship Rodeo. You could be enjoying life, and you're fighting for the country. I got to tell you, I think I work hard. You are up at 3 in the morning. You work 20 hours a day. This audience has to understand the personal sacrifice that Mayor Giuliani and the president are doing to make sure that we defend this republic, we defend this Constitution. To me, I stand in awe of it. I think I'm a hard worker. I think I can outwork anybody. You guys make me look like a schmendrick. I mean,
you're pretty good, Steve.
No. But you guys, hey.
I don't know about a schmendrick.
And so I just want to say Merry Christmas, and from our entire audience, the most powerful,
thank you, Steve.
knowledgeable audience in the world, Merry Christmas, and thank you so much for being down with the president and working through this holiday, sir. It's awe-inspiring.
We're going to win this. That's our goal, and God's going to help us.
Merry Christmas, Mayor. Thank you very much.
Merry Christmas to everyone.
Merry Christmas.
Mayor Rudy Giuliani. I got to tell you, that's a giant. You know, we get the honor of working with giants every day. Peter Navarro's a giant. Donald Trump's a giant. Rudy Giuliani's a giant.
And you know what I love about these guys? They represent the best of the American spirit. They don't give up. They fight to the end. True American heroes.
You know, Jack said yesterday about courage. You know, I keep saying that courage is not just contagious, but courage, as Churchill says, the most important of our virtues. Because upon courage, all the other virtues rest. And this is what we try to teach young people. There's 2 types of courage. There's physical courage and there's moral courage. Right now, you're seeing the moral courage. I mean, Rudy Giuliani is attacked by everybody. I mean, I thought I used to be attacked. It's nothing compared to what Rudy's mocked and ridiculed, attacked, terrible lawyers, losing all over the place. He is a true honey badger. He does not care. He just grinds. I mean, his team grinds. And you can't see behind the scenes, the work, the research, how they've pulled this together. Remember, 50% of the American people think Biden's illegitimate and illegal. And this is with no social media and no mainstream media.
And if the media would do their job and pick up the evidence that we have on that hard drive, which many of them have, guess what? 75% of the American people.
We're getting all revved up on that next week. The hard drive from hell is going to make a rebound here in the next. We just haven't had time. It's so jammed. So on the topic of courage and what the ideals of the American Republic are, I want to bring in two very special guests. Sergeant Major Scotty Neal, and Sergeant Major is a Green Beret. Sergeant Major made, I think, 14 tours in defense of his country, principally in the Middle East, Iraq and Afghanistan. So, Sergeant Major, you've had a couple of three, I take it, deployments during the Christmas season. Can you inform our audience, what is it like, particularly with young people under your command, to be overseas, to be in combat, to be in harm's way during the Christmas holidays?
Well, first of all, right after 9/11, we were some of the first in to Afghanistan, and we stayed all the way through June. So I've spent the first 5 years after 9/11 deployed constantly over Christmas. So one is, how do you prepare your family at home and spend those quiet hours before you even leave? And this was before there was Skype or any way to communicate with your family. It was still snail mail, right? So you've got to prepare the family that you left. And then how do you do soldiers? And what you do is you cook them their meal. You show them gratitude for what they're doing. Soldiers are very adaptive, and they'll make a tree out of anything. They'll make their own ornaments. They'll celebrate Christmas quietly on the frontiers, guarding America's borders, and it's just an amazing sight to see on Christmas Day.
As you did these deployments, give me one that sticks out in your mind with the young troops of showing them as close to, trying to recreate home as much as possible. And you're over in some pretty forbidden, the Hindu Kush in Afghanistan, in Iraq, the deserts over there. What's a memory that sticks out?
Well, I think in 2004 is right after Fallujah and some of the major battles. The country was falling apart, and we had a team house on the Euphrates next to about a battalion of Marines, right? So imagine, being in this area where everybody was constantly attacking you every day, and we climbed up to a palm tree on the Euphrates, and we put some colored lights, right? And we said, this is our last stand if it's going to be Christmas Day, and we enjoyed it. And, those are the little victories that American soldiers celebrate when they're overseas.
Look, we've got, if not the most powerful, close to the most powerful audience in all media now, as the deplorables have come together globally to support this show, and we just provide them the information every day. How can people out there, and how particularly American citizens, how can American citizens support the troops over the Christmas holidays? What is the best way over the holiday season that you recommend they do that?
Well, one is being a thankful American, right? We try to say it when they come home. We need to say it more when they're gone as well. The media right now has been so distracted. You used to have, so many celebrities, so many USOs going overseas. There are still special operators and other support mechanisms in Kuwait, in Iraq, in Afghanistan that still need your support. There's a lot of U.S. citizens that serve for the government, contractors, everybody who's over there, and sometimes you feel forgotten, and you have to spend the time with your voice to tell them that they're not forgotten.
Sergeant Major, talk to us about your current endeavor. I want to make sure we get it out there, because I think our audience would want to participate. So tell us what you're doing now.
Well, we're known as the horse soldiers, the Green Berets that went into Afghanistan. Right now we make a delicious, yummy bourbon, and I'm enjoying a little bit for the holidays, called Horse Soldier. There you go. Veterans need to transition and come home. Our World War II generation came home and built the greatest country on earth, and we want to continue that as soldiers. And the way you're going to do that is getting back in the economy, serving your country as congressmen and women or police officers. All the hard work that needs to be done back at home, our soldiers and veterans can do.
So how did people get to do you have a website we can put up? We'll put it in the live chat and in the feed. It's Horse Soldiers Bourbon. What's the name of the bourbon?
HorseSoldierBourbon.com. You can order it. It's still in America. You can find it in your grocery stores and your liquor stores. COVID hasn't slowed down whiskey. Actually, it's the cure, as I like to say.
Hoo-yah.
The cure for the CCP virus. Sergeant Major, thank you, and I know from a grateful nation, thank you for the 15 or 14 deployments. It's 5 of those in a row over the Christmas season for your family. Thank you very much, sir. Honored.
So my son served as well, so we pass this war on to the next generation.
That's right. He served in Afghanistan. Amazing. Sergeant Major, thank you very much. Incredible. 14, 15 deployments. I mean, this is, and he's absolutely correct. It's a forgotten war now. I mean, President Trump's trying to bring the troops home, and of course, the globalists won't let him. We've had this fight since 2017, since we first got there, but incredible.
One of the things about these men and women who go and serve, and you hear these stories, it both fills you with awe and pride that these people are there to serve us and defend this country is extraordinary. And a Merry Christmas to all of you people out there who are deployed.
These veterans, by the way, it's the new greatest generation. These people that have volunteered for this war has just been incredible. You know, the Sergeant Major and his son, you know, my daughter, this whole crowd is just, it's incredible. Okay, I want to go now. Grace, I want to go to the Navy SEALs, the Navy's commandos. Tej, walk us through, you deployed, I think, 2 or 3 times as a SEAL and then as a contractor for special projects. I think you deployed, 15 or 16 times. So you've got, 18 deployments on your resume?
Yep, that's correct. Over 13 years, I was going in and out pretty much nonstop, 2001 to 2014.
So you
spent a lot of Christmases over there. I spent the first Christmas actually on a Navy ship steaming to the coast of Pakistan in December of 2001, right after 9/11. And then later on, we spent a Christmas in Iraq, a couple of those, and then a couple in Afghanistan later, 2012 and 11, I think, in Afghanistan.
How do you prepare? One, your family, and number 2, as Sergeant Major said, the young troops that work for you.
Back then, you know, I had a young daughter, so I was still gung ho and ready to go, and we just wanted to get over. We're so patriotic and angry about 9/11. We wanted to get in the fight, so spending Christmas away from the family wasn't as big of a sacrifice back then for me, because the first one I was single and no kids, and as the war progressed, you know, I had more kids. I was married, so you know, harder and harder. And but we had satellite phones we could call home. But I called Marcus Luttrell last night. We were talking about this, and the best gift he could give us during those trips on Christmas was to send us out on a mission on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. You know, you could put us in the worst place in the world, and we would make the best out of it. We loved being over there. It was a privilege for us to serve. You know, not that many of us got to do it, so I'm grateful for the opportunity.
Tej, that gets to the heart of the
talk about a fighting spirit.
Yeah,
huh?
no, that's how it gets to the heart of the volunteer force. Tej, talk to us about, you've got a new company. You're another veteran that's come back and started something with other vets. Walk us through the new company. We got about a minute. Walk us through the company and how do people get to the material.
It's Project Warpath, and it's projectwarpath.com. And then Twitter, Instagram, Parler, you can find us at Project Warpath. It's a patriotic T-shirt company. We do T-shirts, hats, hoodies, and you know, I don't kneel is one of the messages. We don't like the kneeling. Our first shirts were the Hillary Clinton Killed My Friend shirts, because the 2 SEALs killed in Benghazi were close friends and teammates of mine. So it's all patriotic gear, and we're just here to support America, support veterans, and carry on the Christmas spirit.
Real quickly, Tej, we got about 30 seconds. What's the number one thing our audience can do to support the troops over the holidays?
Actually, I was talking to Marcus about this last night also. When in the chow hall, we'd have letters pasted up on the walls or taped to the walls from children, Christmas cards, children's Christmas cards. Those are motivating. And then there's usually like a small Christmas tree, a 2, maybe 3 foot tall Christmas tree in the chow hall. And those letters from the kids are awesome. Those get you fired up. They're really motivating.
Tej, thank you very much. It's Project Warpath. We're going to put the link into the live stream. Thank you. Merry Christmas, and thank you very much, brother. Short commercial break. We're going to return with Christopher Flannery next. About Christmas 1776. Next on War Room Pandemic.
War Room with Stephen K. Bannon. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Welcome back to War Room Pandemic. This is our Christmas Eve special. I want to thank the team in Denver, particularly in the Real America's Voice team. You know, somebody said the other day, you got these National Pulse, John Solomon, War Room. They happen to all be on Real America's Voice. Some of the biggest breaking news. We're trying to get our next guest up, Christopher Flannery. He's got an American Story, I think, podcast. It's absolutely incredible. It's 7 minutes long. He's got an incredible one on victory and death. For the programming note, by the way, somebody just sent us a thing we're going to put into the live chat and into hashtag War and Pandemic and over for the Donald Dot win over to the tough hombres, the bad hombres having a breakfast of nails. That's the breakfast of champions. Okay. Somebody's walking through a Best Buy, and I don't know where this is, but I got to find. They're walking through a Best Buy, and they got Real America's Voice on the TV with Rudy Giuliani's big old head and me looking like a
so great. I just posted it at Jack Maxey 1.
It's incredible. It's an absolutely incredible. If we can get that into the live stream too to let the folks see it. Or hashtag War and Pandemic. This is, in Christmas shopping, you got these Christmas shoppers. They're shocked, right? They're seeing that's the pure thing. The team's going to let me know when we get Christopher Flannery up. We're working with a very skeletal crew. But here's what I'm really proud of everybody, the fact that we're working. We're not taking off any time over the holiday season. We've got it's too important. This is an inflection point of American history. The audience wants information. It's day by day, and we're burning daylight. I mean, Rudy and the team, and obviously they're going to have religious observances and have the Christmas dinner and everything like that. But I got to tell you, the president's working. As Rudy said, the president talked to him at 11 o'clock last night, called him back at 7 o'clock in the morning, and then called him back at 8:30. The programming note: we're going to have a number of veterans. We've got Rabbi Spiro on in the next segment. We're going to have Maria Luisa from. I think she's calling us from. I think she's going to be from Rome, but talk about the Christmas Eve in Italy, what they do. We've got more breaking news to come up. And if we can't get Flannery hooked back in, we had a test, but it may not work. He's got an incredible podcast. The reason we want to have him on is to kind of tee up tomorrow. Tomorrow is something we've done now. I've done for years, I think 7 or 8 years. And we've done it here in the War Room. It's the second year in the War Room, but I've done it over at when I did the Breitbart show. And even before the Breitbart show, I had another show out in L.A. It's every Christmas I do the combat history of Christmas just to remind people that not only people deploy, but some of the toughest battles we've ever had in American history take place over the Christmas season. And tomorrow we select a number. It's Jack Maxey, myself, but we're going to be very focused on Washington crossing the Delaware and at Trenton. Do we have Chris Flannery yet? Okay, Chris Flannery now joins us. Chris, thank you very much. By the way, the podcast is called American Story. Is that your podcast?
Yeah, the American Story podcast.
It's fantastic. And talk to us about, you've got one now about the Christmas season and particularly about Trenton. Walk us through the story. We still got a couple of minutes. We're going to hold you over into the next break if we can't get to it. But walk us through Christmas 1776.
Yeah, glad to do it. I just watched a couple of those here and there, and Christmas 1776. There were a few thousand Americans camped out over on the Pennsylvania side of the Delaware River. And anybody who knew anything about what was going on at that moment on Christmas Eve, 1776, they figured the war was over and America had lost. There was no reason to suppose that we had a chance to win that war. And Washington and a few thousand ragtag troops were camped out there in winter. And one of the stories that I tell that I think everybody should remember is this young doctor, Benjamin Rush. visited Washington on Christmas morning in his tent out there in the winter encampment. And Rush tells the story later. He went in there and he saw Washington, who was a great hero to him. And he said he had never seen Washington in such a state, seen him so distressed about the state of things and the fact that his army was going to disperse at the end of the year on December 31st, and then it all would be over. So Rush is talking with him, and he sees Washington writing with his quill pen on these little slips of paper, and one of them falls to the ground. And Rush picks it up, and he sees that Washington is writing victory or death. And what Rush learned later was that that was going to be the password that night when Washington took about 2,400 troops on that what became the famous crossing of the Delaware River on a really desperate mission to attack the Hessians in Trenton. And it really was victory or death. If they didn't win, really the war was over and the revolution was over, I think. And so on that Christmas day, that battle that took place on that Christmas day when Washington and those troops defeated the Hessians, it was a tremendous victory. It really began to change everything. And no one could have known that on Christmas Eve. It was a really desperate effort, but they succeeded. And that didn't end things, but it saved things for the moment. So that's part of the Trenton story.
I want to. By the way, I'd like you to hold over. We're going to bring you back into the next segment because we've got a break here for a commercial break, and I want to get a little more depth. We also have Rabbi Spiro is going to join us talk to us about the Festival of Lights and Hanukkah. We're going to have some Hanukkah music to enjoy and to re-emphasize. He's the author of Pushback: How to Regain the Judeo-Christian Culture and the Judeo-Christian Movement. Rabbi Spiro. I tell you what, Christopher, because we had a little tough time hooking you in. We got you in a little late. If you could please just stay over. That's okay. It's fantastic. We got the crew in Denver is doing yeoman's work putting this show together because the show is actually a little more complicated than you think, and we're doing with the skeleton crew. You know, everybody else is punched out for the holidays, but at the War Room and at Real America's Voice, they're still working. We greatly appreciate the entire team there and everything they're doing. Although between the breaks, you may not know that with my yelling and screaming all the time, but it's in the spirit of, as Jack knows, is in the spirit of perfection of taking us to the next level. Just a couple of programming notes. We've got Christopher Flannery on here from the American Story podcast. It's a podcast we're going to link to. We want everybody to sign up for it. It's fantastic. 7 minutes long, I think. He tells these very succinct stories. Tomorrow, the combat history of Christmas. We go into details of Chosin Reservoir, of Bastogne, the 101st Airborne, the Battle of the Bulge, and, of course, Christmas evening on the Delaware River, the crossing of it. Okay, we're going to turn in a second with Christopher Flannery and Rabbi Spiro next on War Room Pandemic.